Hello, Namaste. I welcome you all to this 27th session of Gurubodha series with Dr. M.B. Guraja sir. I welcome all the participants to this session, and on behalf of all of us, the students, I welcome my teacher, Dr. M.B. Guraja sir, to this session. One of the interesting herbs of Ayurveda is Mucuna pruriens or Kapikacchu, also called as Atmagupta or cowhage. Guraj sir, can you please take us through this wonderful herb?
Definitely, this is one of the wonderful herb which is explained in Ayurveda, and one of the important herb which deals with various vata disorders as well as fertility issues. If you observe this is a Madhura Vipaka and Madhura Sadravya, and this drug is very versatile in its action. Its action could be seen in all the dhatus. If you observe, it is very typically been called as a velvet bean, and of course its even hairs are also useful in creamy conditions, and it is used in the form of a capsule. And whereas this seeds, there are many varieties. As they say that it's a black variety, white variety, and so many things, and they claim that the white variety is comparatively lesser compared to black variety, and black variety is more stronger in its action. But of course it depends on the volatile content, chemical content present in that. And definitely this is one of the wonder drug which contains natural levodopa, and this is definitely useful in Parkinsonism and such type of Kampavata and Sarvangavata type of conditions what Ayurveda has said about. And it is also one of the important drug in extensively used in case of infertility, and where there is a semen related issues are there. Definitely, it may be male erectile dysfunction or even azoospermia or oligospermia or necrospermia, something like that related with all these things. The Kapikacchu is one of the wonder drug which is used in the form of either powder, or it may be in the form of modaka, or it may be in the form of vati, or it may be in the form of leha. So it can be used in a multiple formats, and it's one of the important drug. We can see its acting at the level of Apanavayu, at the places of Apanavayu, as well as at the places as Pranavayu. So it has a very versatile way of acting throughout the spines, from the Muladhara chakra till the Shiras. So this is one of the important drug which can be of much useful for any Ayurveda practitioner.
And like you said, the levodopa extracted from it, even the modern scientists have also acknowledged it. And WebMD website mentions that cowhage or Kapikacchu contains levodopa or L-dopa, a medication that is used to treat Parkinson's disease. Symptoms of Parkinson's disease occurs in the patient due to low levels of dopamine in the brain, and L-dopa gets changed into dopamine in the brain. So clearly what our Ayurveda Acharyas explained as Vatahara, clearly seen its action as its utility is very well documented in Parkinson's disease, sir.
Definitely, not only in Parkinson's disease, almost all the Sarvanga Vata, we can say even Kampa Vata, or even we have amyotropic lateral sclerosis. Such type of conditions are there. This is called as a motor neuron diseases, and these type of motor neuron diseases also we can use this particularly Kapikacchu in a very versatile manner. This is of definitely of late there are many patients also increasing with these conditions, neurological disorders and motor neuron diseases. And definitely in this area we have a very good drug in the form of cowhage or cowich or Kapikacchu.
And I mean, Acharyas have clearly mentioned these are a compilation of it's a pharmaceutical action from various nigandus, including Charaka's description. Clearly, they have explained as broom honey, kind of nutritive, tissue building, and probably it is this action that nutritive, nourishing, tissue building, muscle strength, improving, those are getting used. Its utility is clearly seen in, say, muscular dystrophy, even in like Duchenne's muscular dystrophy and all.
Definitely, in all those conditions where vata is severely involved and causing conditions of neurological deficits, in those areas, definitely Kapikachu is one of the wonder drug which can be used alone or it can be clubbed together with ashwagandha, shatavari, and vidari, even gokshura. These are all support it in a very beautiful manner, and they can be used in the form of Gritha, which is very good. It can even cross the blood-brain barrier and reach to the higher centers where it is required, or even it may even used in the form of kashayas, in the form of it can be used in the form of churna, it can be used in the form of modaka, or even it can be even boiled with milk and can be given with that. So that type of versatility is there with this drug, and it is a very wonderful drug which gives even promising results, and that is very convincing.
Yeah, I was just searching at Master Charaka's reference. Like you told, he has utilized Kapikacchu in various forms. Like I was able to track down this Sarpi Guda combination of jaggery and ghee there, which not only contains Kapikacchu but also many other Jivaniya and Brahmaniya herbs, nutrition promoting, vata balancing herbs used in Shukrakshaya, Karshya, Nidrakshaya. So, so not only in the tissue, even at the brain level also, wherever there is depletion, it acts. So probably one of the good nourishing and nutrition providing neurological herb, which can even be used in old ages also, sir, because in old ages we tend to lose tissues very quickly.
Definitely, it is not only in old age. Nowadays, we could see from the fourth decade of our life, many patients are there with Majjagata Vikaras, or even you can call it as cerebrovascular accidents, or motor neuron diseases, or even Parkinson's, or even many types of Duchenne syndrome, and many such type of things are there where we are experiencing a lot competition, and there are a lot of issues, and of course these patients require ideal drug to be used, and ayurveda can offer definitely a better combination and total protocol of management with all panchakarma and all those things. Along with that, if you could able to use kapikachu in a right sense and right manner, definitely we are going to at least control the disease, and at least we can make the disease to be stable. Because these are all motor neuron diseases, and these things are usually progressive diseases. And if that progression is also halted, then it's also very wonderful.
Yes, sir. And while prescribing it, should be worried or should be focusing on any side effects, or and how long can it be advised safely? In what dose, sir?
As it is one of the Vrishya Rasayana Vajikarana Dravya, it can be given for a very long time without any side effect, because it is falls under the category of Swasthahita Dravya or Rasayana or Vajikarana Dravya. So such type of drugs, it can be given for a very long time, and it won't cause any untoward side effects or anything like that. Of course, if you skip the therapeutic dosages and if you increase to multi-level things, then there may be some issues. Otherwise, it will not be having any problem as such.
And in case of Parkinson's disease, if the patient is already taking the modern chemical drugs like L-Dopa, which is available in the allopathic medicine section, if he's taking, can he take Kapikacchu along with that, and can an Ayurveda doctor prescribe Kapikacchu even if he's taking modern medicines for Parkinson's?
See, a very simple reason. A person who is suffering from Parkinson's, while already taking some medication from the Western medicine, and still he wants to come to an Ayurvedic doctor, then there is a still deficit. So that deficit part, whatever the patient is feeling, that needs to be covered up. So in that scenario, it is better we can select certain drugs of our Ayurveda and we can use it in a along with all those modern medicines what they're using it. So no need to stop them. Just give a half an hour gap between those two categories of medicines, and later just add on these drugs. When these drugs are added on, definitely there will be an improvement and which can be noticeable. So that type of improvement is to be taken care, and of course patient will get the feedback, and even the doctors also will get the feedback. Based on that, we can fix the dosage of the Kapikacchu what we can add on. Maybe 2 tablets of Kapikacchu Ganavati twice a day. Maybe later we can, depending upon the improvement in a condition or a patient's feeling, then we can convert it into 3 times a day single tablet, or maybe 2 tablets 2 times a day, or single tablet 2 times a day, something like that. So that can be type of altering the dosage that can be done based on the outcome of initial therapy days. So that can be done very easily adjustable, and we don't find any such untoward incidents with the use of these things concurrently.
And I know that you are associated with Pentacare Pharma, one of the leading pharma companies of Karnataka. You are like chief medicine designer there, and I'm just wondering there are a lot of Ganavatis, like individual Ganavatis, individual herbs converted into decoction tablets. But I see that Pentacare has Kapikacchu Churna. Why not tablet Ganavati is there? I mean, why only Churna?
It's not a right thing that we Pentacare also has the Kapikacchu Ganavati. I think you not noticed. Kapikacchu Ganavati is there, and I'm using it. It is available. Ashwagandha Ganavati is there. Manjista Ganavati is there. Gokshura Ganavati is there. There are more than 30 varieties of single drugs in the form of Ganavati, and Kapikacchu is also there.
Okay, and I checked this EIO.com, like 3-4 websites, including eBay, but I see only Pentacare Kapikacchu. Coming to its combinations, like it is very friendly herb, like rightly explained, versatile. Varieties of references of Kapikacchu being used along with Shatavari, Kapikacchu is Gokshura, Estimadu Vidari, Ashwagandha, and all. And interestingly, Master Charaka also mentions uses Kapikacchu in Taila, Amrutadi Taila, which is used in Kshinavirya, Balya. It also has this Unmada and Apasmara. It acts against Unmada and Apasmara effect as well. So it has good effect on mind also, because an aphrodisiac drug will not only act only on the Shukradhatu level, because sexual disorders also tend to have some mind components involved in terms of anxiety and all. So Kapikacchu is a kind of wholesome drug which acts both on mind and body equally.
Definitely, it works both mind and body. But moreover, if you observe that, it's a very clearly Kapikacchu acts at the level of Apanavata as well as at the level of Pranavata. That's the reason it works wonderfully in the entire length of spine. Even all these spinal nerve areas, any issues are there, we can selectively go for Kapikacchu containing drugs in the form of Gritha or Thylas, which will be definitely yielding the result. So anything related with the spine, maybe like ankylosing spondylitis, or even the spine related any injuries, or it may be even cervical spondylitis, or even lumbar spondylitis, where there were this issues with the nerve as well as neuralgia, or even post-herpetic neuralgia. In those conditions, along with that, you can use definitely Kapikacchu. It is going to give us very good results.
Now, turning our attention to its aphrodisiac activity, of course, it can be made into a variety of combinations with other Vrishya herbs like Shatavari, Ashwagandha, and even Jivaniya Ganadravyas, even Dashamula also combination is made. And does it only increase sperm count, or it also is, or can it be used in, say, decrease the libido or decrease the sexual strength overall?
It's a overall drug. It wonderfully covers entire aspects of neurological support, whatever to be given. Volume wise, the semen has to be increased. The quality of the semen, even the movement, the things. You see, there are many times when we send the patient for an evaluation in case of an infertility complaint, we'll find a lot of issues with the semen. In that, there will be abnormal semen, there will be rapidly progressive semens, proportion is very less, something like that. In all these conditions, definitely Kapikacchu is one of the leading drug which gives you convincing results. And we have tried and we are already used many times. I mean, many of my combinations, particularly that Falagrita, has been incorporated into a special capsule in the form of Repromed by Pentacare, and we use that with a combination of Kapikacchu Ganavati and Ashwagandha Rasayana in many of the cases of infertility, and which gives a very good result. And even convincingly, there are many patients have turned up, and then the couple has now have children, and many such things are there. So it's a very wonderful drug, and it not only improves the quality of the semen, it also improves the volume, it also improves the movement of the sperms, rapidity and progressive movement, and even the quality and this abnormal sperm count will be reduced. So whatnot, that's the entire range. It is also helpful even in the male erectile dysfunction because of its Vatahara action and nervine stimulant action. So definitely it is one of the important drug which helps in a lot of conditions related with the semen.
Is there any like herbs which are not suitable to be used with Kapikacchu? For example, can it be used with Shilajit? Will it cause any Ushnata concerns? Because Kapikacchu is
See, generally we need to understand whenever we try to develop a new drug or a combination for a proprietary ownership and all those things, we always try to understand the modalities and the principles of laid down by our acharyas and how they have done it. So we will try to go for Amsham Shakalpana of that what our acharyas have done, and we try to understand that which are the drugs which they have combined together, and why even those that certain drugs are there but acharyas are not gone into that combination. So it very clearly gives an idea that which drug should not be used and which should not be taken into consideration. So here, most of the things with Kapikacchu is that we can use all Madhurasa, Madhurvipaka, Vrishya, Brahmana Dravyas, all Dravyas can be clubbed together with this and it can be used. No issues. Only thing is that like drugs with like Chitraka, Bhallataka, such type of combinations should not be made with this because it is going to reduce its efficacy.
yes, sir. And I'm just scanning through other proprietary medicines. For example, Dabur Shilajit Gold, one of the widely prescribed and one of the over-the-counter bought medicines. Yeah, it has ashwagandha, but they're playing safe there. So Charaka mentions it as like for Vata Vyadhi and even Astikshaya and Dhatukshaya disorders also. Like we covered, I mean, for that Brahmana and Dhatu increasing action, so it can be used even in women patients also, sir.
Definitely. See, Shukra is a dhatu which is present in both in female and male. So Ayurveda never speak that is only Shukra present in male. So it is a Stri Shukra that is also been need to be enhanced. So many a times we have a complaint with even the PCOD and such type of things are there. There also which can be used with when there is a reduction. We want to reduce the activity of particularly that oogenesis. For that purpose, if you want to increase that oogenesis purpose, then there also we can use along with Chetavari, this drug can be used.
So both useful in stimulating ovary as well as male gonads also. And what's the ideal Anupana for it, sir? I would imagine ghee or milk should be good because it's very frequently used in the Gritha medium as in many of the yogas.
Definitely, if it is our intention of using Kapikacchu for the purpose of Vata Roga, then it is better with Gritha. And if it is for the purpose of fertility, then it is better with Dugdha.
One of the frequently asked questions with aphrodisiac medicine prescription is that, especially when it is not just the oligospermia, especially when it is erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation is there, I just prescribe, and in the next day patient will come back saying that nothing happened, and it doesn't work like just in like magic or like Viagra or any modern medicine like in one dose. Sir. It takes time, sir.
No, definitely. Whenever we come across a such type of patient, it is our duty to convince and can say that in such a manner that what may be the expected days so that you can get certain result out of it, the treatment process. So for the purpose of getting a result, you need to take it at least for a few days. It may be for 10 days or 15 days or even 1 month. Like that, we need to, particularly for a case of male erectile dysfunction, at least we require 15 days of time to give at least something change can be. So otherwise, simply just by giving one tablet and next day we are just checking out whether it is happening or not. No, that type of no things will not going to serve the conditions.
And most of the time that will be kind of counterproductive. Patient will as well, patient will observe that nothing much is happening. Oh, medicine is not working, or I am not fit for it, and it will again further increase the anxiety within. So
Yes, that's the reason why I said very clearly. If I, whenever I get patients of that type of things, I definitely counsel them and convince them that you need to wait for this number of days to get at least something different. So continuously, if you don't experiment and that every time that when you go in for a sexual act, whether it is helping you or not, don't try to understand. Just simply involve in the things and what that you need to enjoy, that enjoy. So unnecessary, you don't want to just experiment whether this drug is acting, whether my dose is right or not. This is not your domain. That is a doctor's domain. Doctor will handle all those things. You just simply understand this is the medicine you need to consume, you consume it and involve in the act wherever the in the right sense it has to be. So many a times it so happens that patient gets convinced and they usually take it for a number of prescribed days, then definitely we will get a result. If it is for 1 day 2 days, nothing will happen.
I've seen in many cases, the wife whose husband has this, premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunctions, it goes up to the serious matter of even divorce. So while the male husband is given therapies, it's also important to sort of counsel and make the wife cooperative and try to understand the situation and kind of be a little patient so that things will improve.
Definitely. So many a times we need to even understand that whether there is a person is suffering from diabetes or not, such type of things to be taken care of, because many a times we come across many patients will be diabetic, uncontrolled diabetic patients taking medicines and under control, but there is a because of the influence of diabetes, there will be neuropathy that involving into the male erectile dysfunction and these type of things will be there. So we need to address all those things and convince them. And usually this type of things, when we do it, it is better to counsel them both as a couple, ask them to come to the clinic and let them sit and then discuss, explain them what are the conditions, how it should be, and how we need to support one another. So all these things to be taken care of.
Because it is, Kapikacchu is told as Brahmana, should we be worried about weight increase in already obese patients? Should the dose be taken care there?
Now, that's the reason when we give it for the purpose of neuropathy, we give it with a Gritha as a combination, of course, but it is still very, very minute dosages when compared to what the food they consume. The body bulk is due to what the food we consume. It is not due just because of some of the medicines. Of course, these type of medicines may not be causing you any much of weight gain, but of course, there should be some observation and a tag on that. So if any patient is already obese, then we need to give him in the form of simple Ghanavati. It is not with the Gritha or not with the Dugdha. Straight away simple Ghanavati should be given. When there is a patient is moderately hefty or obese, or you can manage with that, obesity is not an issue and is weak, emaciated, then it is better to combine with these combinations, Gritha or Dugdha, milk. Otherwise, it is better it can be given with a single drug in the form of Ganavati.
And like there is not, Charaka famously told, Anenopadeshena nano anaushadhi bhutam jagati kinchit dravyam nopalabhyate. Tam tam yuktim artham cha tamabi prati. Meaning, or no, there is no substance in this world which cannot be used as medicine. So it all depends on the doctor's planning, yukti, and whatnot. So I mean, interestingly, this hairs of Kapikacchu is used to cause itching to make the person who is in coma to get him pass through the unconscious episode. So kind of acting as a nerve stimulant there also. I mean, externally irritating.
It's a highly irritating material. One should be very careful while collecting it also. So when the pods are dry pods will always just by the breeze you can get the cilia gets separated and flows in the air, and that will definitely come in contact with the skin. Then it causes a severe itching, and even sometimes maybe it leads to swelling. So it should be care should be taken to avoid all those things. While collecting also, we usually apply some glove or something like that, and then we collect it. And this can be used in a multiple way, for even for the purpose of stimulating when the person is unconscious or something like that. You want to need to stimulate him, then also it can be used. Otherwise, even it is can be used in case of intestinal ailments. For that purpose, we use them with Navanitha butter. We'll make a punch hole in the butter and put these hairs into that and make a bolus, turn into just like samosa, covering it from all the direction and made to engulf. So that is also going to help us in killing those intestinal ailments. And this is one of the important combination. We find it that versatility of the drug. We don't find it in any other drugs.
Will not cause irritation in, say, intestines when that is taken with butter?
Usually, this irritation occurs only in the skin and some portion of the mucous membrane. But once it goes below the esophagus, it won't cause you any itching or any untoward sensations.
Next is the something related with fertility, infertility, and all. Elon Musk, famous CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, tweeted this January 18th. He says that we should be much worried about the population collapse. As much as countries like India and China are having population explosion and overpopulation is one of the reasons for poverty. He believes, and it is also many of the scientific journals have written about it. Conquering that in the population collapse can be a bigger challenge. So the idea here is that China had this one-child policy very strict. If unexpectedly some couple have twins, they would allow it. But even if some parent had two children, voluntarily they would punish the parents, put the family into jail and whatnot. But they also have started recognizing this problem of like population collapse, and they have become lenient in the recent years. So what happened is in the 1990s and 2000s, China's younger population were more, so they were coming into the labor industry, and they were working hard and for a lesser amount of money salary. But now they are aging, and new generation has not come up because of the population control measures strictly which was followed. So that is causing a lot of problems. So he says that if you miss the population cycle, meaning new people stop coming, new generation stop coming, to correct it, it will take around 20 years, with which the economy will collapse and it will lead to a bigger problem. And there are, of course, many things involved in lower fertility. One is, of course, this great COVID leading to various, social and even physical reasons for that. US birth rate fell by 4% in 2020, and even BBC has also agreed that fertility rate is jaw-dropping global crash in children being born. Various reasons are leading to this one, and we are in a kind of a social situation where women are also going out for work. They also have to have their own life. They also are willing to enjoy their life rather than dedicating major part of their 20s and 30s raising small children. So all this is adding up to a kind of a alarming situation in which the future of human generation is at stake, sir.
Definitely, because as there is a growth, economic growth, richness, and the family culture, and all these things, where education is more there, automatically getting married in a day, comparatively later stages of their life, and even upbringing their family also, they are delaying it due to the pressures of the career and whatnot else. So all these has its own impact, definitely. But in a country like India, where comparatively still there is an somewhat understanding that if this year marriage happens, next year they should become from 2 to 3. So such type of still assumptions and even expectations are there in the society. And of course, as a family of two, at least the birth rate should be at least more than 2.5. Then it will be good for the maintenance. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult for the future population to maintain. And of course, it has to happen. It will take its own time. Now we are having less space and more population, so we are going for stringent things. And now we are also opening up the society and saying that marriage minimum age is increased recently. So all these things, I mean, just as a measures which are done to control the speed in which we are multiplying. But in the rest of the world, like the Europe and the Western communities, where they already bad state of affairs, and there, of course, that even the global COVID has also done a lot of impact because of social distancing and many things, and even job loss and economy crash, and so many things definitely leads to a less fertility rate. And this is an alarming one, but I hope it may not go further down and the things are getting eased. And India is one of the country where we can manipulate. That's the reason we are, even though we have a lot of population, but we are seen as a big market. Everybody wants to come to India. That's the reason we are not only simply population. We are capable of purchasing. We are capable of handling these things. So then that's a reason we need to understand that simply just population may not be causing any problem. We need to streamline those population in the right direction so that we can get into a right kind of economy.
Many economists who study countries, socialists are saying that India has youth advantage as of now, at least for next 2 or 3 decades, because many of the youngsters are coming to the picture, and startup scene is bursting out in India. There are in last year itself there were like 43 unicorn companies, startup companies, meaning there are 43 companies which were valued more than 7,500 crores, company valuation exceeding $1 billion. And even I talked to my engineer friends in a place like Bangalore. The engineers who are very very good, who are in the top of their game, can, with just 5 to 7 years of experience, can earn up to 3 to 5 lakhs a month. So just a decade before, 5 lakhs a month was kind of an ideal salary for which Indians used to go out from India to US and Europe and other countries to get that salary, but they're getting it now. And I keep on seeing in Twitter that many people are coming to India to get an advantage of that. Middle class range is rising, and fortunately for India, at least for the few decades to come, this problem is not there.
Definitely, India is not in that verge of collapse, and of course, we have a very potential young generation, and of course, population is also there, and we have got improvement in the economy as well as the working condition and job opportunities and startups and so many things. And definitely, we are in a very right kind of hands, and the persons, those who are leading the country, they are doing in a very wonderful job. And definitely the things will be in a rosy picture for India in the future.
Yes. Sandeep Agarwalji, you have raised your hand. Can you please ask your question?
Yes. Namaste, Gururaja sir. I hope you remember me. I met you many years ago in your clinic.
Yes, definitely.
So, sir, I wanted to ask a question about your previous thing that you mentioned about for Vata, you give Kapikacchu with ghee. So I wanted to understand the difference between giving it with ghee or making it into a Gritha. Like, what's the difference between the two?
See, typically there is a difference. If we mix with the ghee, then a whole drug is given. Then all the drug is exposed to bioavailability. So based on our receptors, the things will be absorbed. But when we prepare those things into Gritha, we only discard certain things which is not going to be come to part of the Gritha. So in the process of making Gritha, so then there may be chances of losing certain important ingredients which could have been a part of our treatment protocol. So that's the reason it is better whenever we want to give it in the form of churna, we give it in the form of churna with the form of particularly Gritha. But there are conditions. For example, if you want the drug has to be carried to the higher centers like brain, then it is better to convert it into Gritha. because these Grithas will easily have a penetrability and even pass the blood-brain barrier and reach to the higher center. So it is always, you observe that there are plenty of Grithas explained by Acharyas for the purpose of higher mental functions like apasmara and unmada and these conditions, and even pishacha unmada. The many things have been explained. For all those things, Mahakalyanika Gritha, Mahapaishachika Gritha, all these are Gritha in the form of Gritha, Ashwagandha Gritha, Kapikacchu. So these are Gritha in the form of Gritha, it will be good. If it is having a patient is complaining of pain and neuralgia and some pain related with that, then it is better to give it with in the form of churna, in the form, mix it with the Gritha and give it. If it is for the purpose of fertility aspects, that is better to give it with milk. Boil it with milk or give it with milk. Or even you can add some Gritha or even Sharkara to that, make it a Modaka or something like that, give it. So that is a usual protocol which we follow, and that is the reason for that.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
Victoria, Miss Victoria, do you have any question?
Yes, Vaidyaji. I wanted to ask more clarification on some property of depression, but in terms of the Shatkriya Kala, I would like to understand, because all the nervous system disease is Vata Vyadis, so they have a Vata involvement. At the same time, depression is Kapha dominant. In which days, if it starts from Vata, in which days of the six disease development of stage it switches to Kapha? For example, is it in Sanchaya, it's still Vata and Kapha accumulation? In Prakopa, is it still like Vata and Kapha? And then only in Prasara, it moves, Kapha moving to Vata and Pitta. And then in Sthana Sanchaya, it's all Kapha dominant. Where is this switch from Vata to Kapha? Because when Kapha increases, Vata decreases. I want to understand the mechanics, how depression starting from Vata becomes Kapha dominant.
So it is just simply how fire can be enhanced by the wind. Similarly, Vata is being supported, assisted by the Kapha. So whenever, because both these Kapha and Vata, both are having one common property known as Shita, that the coldness present in both of them. And so that's the reason they combine together. And many a times, whenever our entire body is having all the three doshas, and then different set of superiority at different places. So, for example, in these conditions, whenever there is a Vataja Vyadhi, what we call it, it will be Vata which is dominantly acting. And in Vataja Vyadhi also, there is a typically Vata due to Kshaya, means there is a Dhatu Kshaya Janya Vata and there is a Avarana Janya Vata, because there is an Avarana by other things. So it may be Anyonya Avarana or maybe with the other doshas. So sometimes the one Vata may be causing Avarana to another Vata and resulting in a disease. Many times another dosha is covering the Vata and making it hamper to get a disease. So based on that Avarana, that we need to understand that what are the Lakshanas are producing. Based on that, we will say it is whether it's a purely Vataja or whether it is Avarana Janya or whether it is Kapha also involved with Vata. Such type of things are there. It doesn't mean that always all depression patients, all of them will have a Kapha dominance at the end. No, there is not a common rule. That can be associated or may not be.
Yes, thank you, Vaidyaji. But then how do you would break it down for the Shatkriya Kala? Like, would you then say that it stays, it could be both, Vata Kapha dominance, depression for the all 6 stages?
Definitely, whenever we try to go for a Samprapti Vigatana, we try to understand what are the dosha involved. When we consider there is a Vata as well as Kapha, the best drug for this would be which is having Ushna Guna, because Ushna Guna is acting against both Kapha as well as Vata. So we will try to select such a drugs which are having Vatahara and Kaphahara nature by virtue of its Ushna Guna. So such type of drug will be taken to reduce these conditions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Vaidyaji. And then to understand, so let's say, would you say the main subdoshas aggravated in would be then Prana, Apana, Udana, Vyana, and Pachaka, Lojaka, Sadaka, and Kledaka, and Darpaka, or what you would say would be the main?
It will not be like that. Usually, whenever higher mental functions are involved, it will be either Prana and Udana among the Vatas. Prana and Udana will be the important Vatas. Then comes Sadhaka Pitta if Pitta is getting involved. Then comes the Kapha portion of it. Then that is Avalambaka Kapha is the one which is important in this. But usually we come across such type of lakshanas or the symptoms wherein it is prominently Vata and sometimes Vata is assisted with Kapha.
Yes, so we can say that actually the Vata predominant stays, but it could be either associated with Kapha in the process of, depending from Lakshanas, in the process of Samprapti.
Definitely, that is called Anubandha. We call it as Anubandha. Whenever there is a combination later stages and even the evolvement of the Samprapti, if the prasara takes place to such a places where other doshas gets involved or avarana takes place from other doshas, then accordingly then the lakshanas will arise. So based on the lakshanas, whatever the patient is complaining and or what we are observing in a patient, we try to understand whether it is a purely vataja or it is vata kapaja or whether it is avarana janya. So accordingly, if we feel that it's avarana janya, then avarana has to be broken by using very strong and penetrative drugs. That's what we do it.
Mm-hmm. And last thing which I want to understand is when it is Vata and Kapha, because they are opposite. If Vata increases, Kapha usually decreases. If Kapha increases, the Vata increases. So then it means if they are both at the same time, would you, how, I'm just trying to understand if both are together at the same time, if Vata moves to Kapha, it means Kapha should decrease.
It's not like that. It is not totally the kapha. We see whenever we go for the Vriddhi Lakshanas studies, we study it as Dravyatmaka Vriddhi, Gunatmaka Vriddhi, Karmatmaka Vriddhi. So it is not all the Lakshanas will be enhanced. For example, in case of a Rakta Pitta, it is due to the Dravatva of the Pitta which is increased and mixed with the Rakta to make Rakta Pitta. It doesn't mean that entire Pitta, all gunas are increased. Similarly, in this case also, when we talk about the Vata, typically certain qualities of Vata are increased. Either Ruksha increased, either Shita is increased. These Ruksha and Shita increased. Definitely, if Kapha also gets involved, then also Shita once further increases. Because the Shita is also one of the quality of Kapha. So when such qualitatively things are taken place, accordingly they are in a proportionate manner, they get involved in that manifestation of Samprapti. It doesn't mean that Vata is involved and Kapha is involved, means all the lakshanas of both the things will be going simultaneously together. It will not be like that.
Yes. And just the last thing I want to clarify, that is in Sthana Samshraya stage, when it's localized, then the dhatus are already involved. It means like rasa dhatu probably mainly, and rakta, and maybe also macha dhatu for depression. But then is shrotas already involved on that stage, or shrota varoda will be only in vyakti stage?
No. It's already, because it's happening there already in the Manoha Shrotas. Mm-hmm. It's happening there in the Manoha Shrotas. Its effect could be seen even over there.
Yes, so basically both the shrotas are already involved in Sthana Shramshaya together with dhatus, and then just continue more strongly in Vyakti stage.
Definitely. See, whenever there is a particular causative factors, these causative factors are only responsible for causing a Kavai Gunya in the Shrotas. When they make a Kavai Gunya, that the place ideal for the accumulation and mixing up of all these dosha, that Sammurchana takes place in that place. So that's the reason the peculiar instances or peculiar nidhana itself is causing us a Kavai Gunya and results are seen accordingly. So it doesn't mean that in every case there will be uniform type of things. No, each and every case is a new case, and each and every case is a different one that needs to be counseled and that needs to be understood. So for some cases it may be because of more Vata, or in some case both Kapha and Vata, in some cases even some involvement of Pitta also to some extent by the virtue of the patient complaining of then burning sensation somewhere. So like that, depending upon many conditions, we need to analyze which are the doshas involved and what are the places it is things are happening, and accordingly we can treat it.
Yes, thank you so much, Vaideji. That was very elaborate and wonderful explanation. Thank you so much for taking time.
And just to clarify a few points there, in case of depression, first of all, in the weekly Saturday classes, we have covered this in like 17 hours exclusively for depression. It is not just Vata and Kapha involved. I mean, there is Tamas and there is this Rajas and Tamas involved. The depression can be for just for a small amount of time, like a student losing exam and all. And in some cases, in most of the cases, in 90% of the cases, patient will start losing weight because he does not take food, and which is explained as karsha. That's why it is understood as karsha is one of the vata increase symptom, and that's why most of the cases of depression are treated on the line of karsha. That's why, like Guru sir explained, this ushna and snigdha guna, ghritas, herbal ghees with ashwagandha, etc., are given to stimulate the mind and bring back the vata under control. And only in 10% of cases where the patient starts gaining weight, though being depressed, and he starts also eating, only there in kapha's involvement is there. And of course, there is this complex avarna thing also can also happen, leading to this one. Like Charu Mahajanji has written, especially in the case of depression, each client is a new book to read and understand. And also, in some cases we need to give stimulating medicines, maybe, which will stimulate the Agni. Maybe Sadhaka Pitta is decreased, and he lacks motivation. And in some cases he's thinking too much or procrastinating too much, so Vata is still balanced. It's a very complex disorder to handle, sir.
Definitely. Depression is a very, not only depression, most of the Manova related diseases are very, very difficult to handle. And of course, they are a very lengthy time of treatment is required. And definitely we need to understand that. See, we have very clearly said, Vayu Rajo Bahula Evacha, it is said. Vata itself is having the Rajo Bahulatva. So Rajo Guna is already increased when Vata is increased. That's what I said, Gunatmaka Vriddhi, Karmatmaka Vriddhi, and as well as Dravyatmaka Vriddhi. So we need to understand that each in the Amshamsha Kalpana, when we go for the Samprapti Vigatana, we need to understand that what exactly things are changed and what exactly the things are happening inside. That is the thing we need to go for a Amshamsha Kalpana and analyze it. So Vayu Rajo Bahula Evacha very clearly said it is Rajo Guna is increased, Vata is increased, then Rukshata is increased, then definitely that person will have a less Agni, and tissue will be depleted, and of course there will be Kshaya leading to Karshata. So if in such a condition, if even the Shita Guna of Kapha also gets involved, further it enhances the Shita Guna of Vata, then there will be cramps, there may be some pains, there may be some even Jadatva. So such type of things can happen. So that is the reason I said, depending upon the involvement as well as whether it is Avarana or straight, then we need to understand. Of course, it's not a very easy job to understand it is Avarana Janya or Shuddha Vata. It is a very, very difficult task. Many a times even the experienced doctor also will make a mistake in understanding this. So this is a very typical way of handling it. Of course, it can be learned by regularly seeing such type of patients and handling them in an accurate manner.
Complex diseases like depression, one thing that I have observed is, of course, we have to do a deep study and then come to the medicine prescription. But once we start giving medicines and it starts showing results, meaning patient is coming out of depression, he's getting hunger, he's showing interest, his intention to mingle with people is increasing. So all these symptoms are there, like he's coming out of it. Then changing the medicine, we should be like very careful, and same set of medicines which once you decide and it starts working, better to stick with it for a longer period of time. A little bit of change here and there can again bring back the symptoms that I have observed.
Definitely. See, and there will be always volatile nature of presentations will be there. They'll say that 2 days after the medicine started, they'll say, I am feeling wonderful, doctor, it's wonderful working, it's working like anything like that. Then after 4 days, once again says, I am feeling once again same problem which I used to face in 4 days back. So this type of things will be there. We need to not only simply giving a medication here, but it also we need to go for the sattva vajaya chikitsa. Sattva of the person has to be enhanced. But one observation I have noticed is these type of depression and all these things, what I have understood, are usually such patients are either well educated, economically sound, well established in their life, everything is good, but they'll land up in these type of problems. I don't know where there is a less education and there is a less finance or such type of people have not come across suffering from depression. Their depression is that they don't have money. That's the only depression they have got. All other sorts of these type of feelings and issues with the family and all these things I have come across in most of the educated, highly qualified and well settled people. That is the alarming thing, that somewhere down the line our expectations are too much from this. That is the thing we need to understand.
I see many reasons for that. One is that too much expectations from life, that they are climbing up the ladder. They have like $1 million. They want to compare themselves with like people have $10 million. Then that becomes deficient. Then it goes to level goes to 1 billion, then 100 billion. Then Elon Musk is like 200 billion. So there is never-ending expectations and too much unmet ambitions. Like I have this Audi car and neighborhood has Tesla or BMW. That one, and they get too easily bored, meaning because they are rich, the human to human interactions that happens in a village they miss most of the times. They cannot simply go to a neighborhood and chit chat for 5 minutes because security and other issues will be there because they are already rich and other things. A poor person, put him in a tora or a swing, or any give him a toy, give him a bike to ride. He'll be so happy that he has many excitation points, like many things will make him instantly happy. But these rich people and knowledgeable people, they have already seen it all, so they'll become happy with great difficulty.
Those who celebrate the life, they never end up in depression. Those who always have a complaints about life, they end up in depression. So try to celebrate whatever the life is, enjoy the life. And I have seen another one important observation. Those who don't, the naysayers, we call it, as they don't believe in God or even Almighty or something like that, they also end up in these problems too many times. But in very rural setup or something like that, in our locations, if such type things are there, the patient, if I ask them, what will do? You don't have money. What will be your future? Then he will say, will put this pressure or burden on my Bhagwan. My God will take care of it. So he will pass on this entire burden to his God and praise God, and his pressure will be eased. Whereas those who are educated and they question the existence of God, they'll always question. Then they don't have any other to just pass on the weightage what they're having in their head. So they can't pass on this burden, and that's why they end up in depression. This is what my observation I have seen. So certain things we should be believers in God or some Almighty, that there is something supernatural, that it is controlling everything, and we are some little bit part of this entire Milky Way or the race.
Some amount of spirituality, religious feelings are like very much required, and when there is no hope at all, surrendering ourselves to that superior energy and drawing energy from that, the tomorrow will be better than today. That aspiration and that positivity that we gain from God, or if we want to call it as spiritual energy, that is the thing which we would miss if we are highly educated, or if we read a lot many books and become very rational or too much hyper practical in thinking.
That's the reason. But that's what my observation I have made. So many observations in that type of patients. Most of them, those who come with depression, are from the elite group of the society.
Just trying to source it. There is like this Google, Facebook employees. These are called as like big tech. Google, FANG, it's called Facebook, Apple, Facebook, Apple, and Amazon, Netflix, Google, and Microsoft. These big tech people, most of the employees who work there, they earn anywhere between like $200,000 to $300,000. That's like a 2 crore a year. So they are already rich, and most of them have these leftist ideologies. They do not believe much in God. They do not believe that women should take care of the family, or they do not believe in family values. And this corona has totally broken them. and they do not interact much with the external society, and do not believe in the structure of the society itself. They have this rebellious attitude, and it is ripping across. Though they have like all the money in the world to spend, they are mentally deranged, and it is eating up. Again, having a little bit of belief in family values to improve the, again, fertility rate, and also to have kind of a societal structure, to give the society a structure, and to have a spiritual aspect of mind is so important to mentally be sane in this difficult world.
Definitely. See, we may achieve so many things in the life, but by the end of the day, somebody should be there to celebrate your achievements. If nobody is there to celebrate your achievement, then what's the use of such celebrations and achievements? So that is a basic issue that we need to have that family bonding and emotions, and that part should be there. And we need to, that is the main pivotal point which helps to make generation to move on to the next generation. That is the thing which we need to understand. And too much of expectation from the life and feeling negative and these things will always push you to the end of the depression. And it is better that we understand that whatever I am getting is much, much better than so many people in this universe. So then automatically will be somewhat in a feeling of good. And that's the reason, that's the way we even counsel many patients. And we need to increase their sattva and make them to believe in God. There is Almighty. There is something beyond your science and beyond your expectations and beyond your limitations.
Yeah, we are so glad that we are in the science of Ayurveda, which is philosophically speaking an Astika philosophy, meaning generally we believe in God and the positive energy and whatnot. So we are so glad, and we are also glad that we are having this conversation with an able guru like yourself, Dr. Gurubodha sir. So we are ending this session. I thank all the participants for their interesting questions. And thank you very much, Gurubodha sir, for answering all our queries.
Thank you, everyone, for patience listening and participating in the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the excellent answers from all of you. Thank you, both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. See you in the next class next Sunday. Namaste.